Hi there, my name is Mike Steinberg. I am the president of Miraquad Corp, and we're going to go through today our product, the Little Keeper Sleeper, and how we measure our product. So without any further ado, let's go right into it and let me show you how we do it. So on our product, the Little Keeper Sleeper, the measurement A, we're going to go through, it's actually letter A on our spec sheet. It goes HPS, which is the high point of the shoulder, which goes from up there all the way to the bottom of the cuff, and that is this one. So this one measures out about 35 inches. Don't worry about what size or anything. We're just showing you generalization of how we measure our garment. So we'll go right into the next letter. Letter B is across the shoulder. So for across the shoulder, we take right here at the seam at the top to the seam over here on the top, and that's how we measure letter B across the shoulder, and that comes out around 10 on that one. The next one is letter C. We do chest at armhole. So chest at armhole. So right here is the two armholes. You can see the seams right there. We put our measuring tape there to right there to the other seam, and that measures in about 11. So that's how we measure letter C, chest at armhole. The next one we do is letter D. It says hip up 4 inches from crotch seam. Very important for us. Very important for us is we go our crotch seam. I'm going to show you where that is. It's at the seam at the bottom. So there's a crotch seam here and there's a crotch seam here. This is where all our measurements are taking when we're talking about crotch seam. So this one has up 4 inches from crotch seam. So we'll go right over here. So there's the crotch seam. We will go up 4 inches, which is about right there. And then we go across. So right there, across. And that one comes into about 11 and a half or so, probably a little more, but just about 11 and a half for across, going across there. So I just want to give you a heads up too, on our size 18 to 24 month, all the way up through 5T, we have it from the hip up 4 inches from the crotch seam. If you go from the size 6 all the way to size 20, it goes from the crotch seam up 5.5 inches. So that's a big difference from our smaller sizes to our bigger sizes. So we just want you to be aware of that in the spec sheet, and it is highlighted in bold there for you. All right, on to our next letter is E, thigh at crotch seam. So once again, we look for the bottom of the seam at the thigh, and then we measure across. So bottom of the seam and across, and that one comes in at about 6. So that's how we measure that one. Next one is sleeve length from shoulder. So here we're going to do the sleeve length, and I'll take this one. I'm going to measure from the seam of the sleeve down to the bottom of the cuff, and that one comes in about 14 and a half. So from right here, the seam at on the top of the sleeve to the bottom of the cuff, 14 and a half. And that was letter F on there. So now we're going to go into G. It calls bicep at seam, letter G. And all you do is take it from the seam here, straight across. So from right there to right there, straight across, that's coming in a little over about 3.5, maybe a tad bit bigger, but that's how we measure letter G, bicep at seam. Okay, now we're going to move on to armhole circumference, letter H. Letter H is a little trickier to do, but it's still kind of about the same. Right along the seam, we kind of just follow that along at the seam, and that one comes out at about 4.5 on there. And then on the R's on there for our armhole circumference, it's actually doubled. So you'll see in our specs that we measure it at 4 and a little under 4.5, but on our spec sheet, it will be doubled. So you just kind of can look at that and see that. Okay, we move on to letter I, sleeve cuff height. So sleeve cuff height is right here. So it's about 1.5 is what we show on there. And that's our sleeve cuff height. And next is sleeve cuff opening. So that one, you just come over here and you'll see we go the opening. So from edge, oops, sorry about that, about edge to edge, it's about 2 1/4. We double that one as well. So that one will be doubled as well. So that's going to come out to a little over 4.5 on there. This is next one, the letter K is high point shoulder to crotch seam. So remember again, the high point shoulder is the top of the seam up here, or the neck binding. And then we always go down to the bottom of the crotch seam. And that is about right there. So it's a little, right about 20 inches for that. And that, once again, is letter K, high point shoulder to the crotch seam. And that's at the bottom of the crotch. Next is inseam, letter L. Inseam goes from, once again, bottom of crotch seam. So there's the seam all the way to the bottom of the cuff, and that comes in at about 15 inches. So once again, right at the bottom of the seam and bottom of the cuff. And that is your L inseam. Okay, leg cuff openings. Leg cuff opening is kind of the same way as before. It is doubled. So right here, this is a little under 2.5. Let's just say pretty close to 2.5. So that would come out, if it is 2.5, it's obviously doubled. That would be 5. So maybe right around 5, slightly under. And that would be for letter M, leg cuff opening. And then the next is neck opening edge to edge. So the neck opening edge to edge is basically going from the inner part of the neck, from here to the opening. And that one comes in about 4 1/4, or could be close to 4.5. But that's the neck opening. So it's just from here to here in the opening section. We'll put it on here. Sorry, the measuring tape again. And right there. So about 4.5. All right. So on to the next one. The back neck drop is, we were saying that it's going to drop from, when you do a straight line across, it's going to drop probably about, it's saying about 1/4 inch. And that would probably be, if you draw a straight line across, you see a little bit of a dip in the neck, and that's the 1/4. Front neck drop is basically just from here to the front, the top of the back of the neck. And that one, it comes out, what they say is about 1 3/4. And that's pretty close to that on there. So we're looking at that would be the front neck drop. Neck circumference, not including zipper gap. So let me show you how we measure our neck. This is a critical measurement as well. And what we do is put the measuring tape out here. We will undo the garment, the top of the neck, unzip it. And what you're going to do is you're going to take it and hold it from edge to edge. And you're going to stretch it a little bit because there's a binding in there, so it won't stretch that much. And you're going to hold it here and then stretch it out to a little bit. And that one comes in at about 14. So that is going to be your neck circumference, maybe a little bit over, maybe closer to 14 1/4. When you stretch it, probably closer to 14 1/4. But that's when you're actually stretching it. And then the difference between the neck circumference, not including zipper gap, and the one below it with the zipper gap, it's just a 1/2 inch. They're all a 1/2 inch. And that's just saying that if you look at it from here to here, there's about a 1/2 inch gap. So they're all the exact same. So you'll notice on that. Okay, the neck rib height is standard for all our sleepers. It's just saying for right here, the height right there is on there, and they're coming in about a 1/2 inch. As you can see, the neck rib height. And the bottom cuff height on there. So let's go. This is letter T now that we're bottom cuff height. Letter T is, whoops, there we go. So this one comes in at about 2 inches, and that's right on. So that's how you do the bottom cuff height. And the next one down is 2 inches down, and that's letter U. I'm going to show you how to do letter U, 2 inches down from armhole at chest. So armhole at chest is once again right here at the seam from the armhole. We're going to go 2 inches down 1, 2, which is kind of like right in the middle of this one. And then we're going to go across. And this one is going to come out to just under about 9¼ on there. So that one's going to come out, and that one is doubled as well. So when you look at that one for letter U, that is going to show doubled on there. And then the next one is going to be leg width 4 inches down from crotch seam. So once again, it says crotch seam, so we always go to where the seam is here. And actually, I'll use on this side, it's a little closer to me. So right here, the crotch seam, we go 4 inches down. And that one's like right here in the, almost the center, a little bit above. And that one comes in a little over 5½, 5¾ going across. Now we did this measurement, and this was letter Y, is because we don't want the sleeper to fan out too much below the hip area. So it's just a way of preventing that, and that's a new measurement we have added. So let me go over a couple items that are on this sleeper that make it unique and different than anything else. On our sleeper, let me show you the crotch. The crotch is double layered. So there's 2 layers in this area that we make it. Another big difference on our sleepers, we have the tab on the inside, and this is correct spacing for the snaps. See how we have it? So they're not overlaying each other. They're nicely centered throughout. And this is sewed securely in place so it doesn't come apart. So extra sewing on the inside so somebody can't pull or be any kind of choking hazard. The zipper is a YKK zipper that we have that goes all the way down. And then with the snaps, these snaps are YKK snaps, and the YKK only. They're the only snaps we will accept. And the snap tension is very strong. We make it around 6 pounds for each one. We want it to be strong in there. What you'll notice too, you can't see it in here, but in the backing of our garment. So here, if you flip it around and see how we have the snaps, the tape facing on here is the material that you'll see in one of the samples that we have. It's a good material, it's strong, does not rip, stays secure. That is also inside of here to prevent any kind of ripping or tearing. So that's another key feature on our sleeper. Another thing we want to go over that we have is the neck does not stretch. So there is ribbing all around the neck, all around the side, so it will not stretch at all. Makes it very secure and strong on there. So that is another one of our features on our sleeper. And then another we have is on the inside. So if you look on the shoulder, from here to here, we secure it stronger with a little bit of ribbing. That's the same ribbing that's kind of going around the neck. We also put it on the shoulder right there to prevent any kind of ripping and keep it strong as a child's going to try to pull and tug at it. So those are a couple features that we have. There's one more I want to go over with you, and I'm going to show you in a moment, is our sleeper for our footies. Our footies we'll go over in a minute too, and I'll show you some other features that we have. But this is right now how we measure our garment for the long sleeves, short sleeves, footies. All of them are kind of how we do our measurements. If you have any questions at all, we ask that you please email us or call us. We just want there to be everybody to be on the same page. Any questions or concerns, we'd rather work with you to make sure we're all together on what we're trying to accomplish. Thank you very much, and see you later.